Galaxy Man Show interview show. So for my very next guest of today and very last guest of today this week is this incredible director known by the name of Evan Factor. He's creating a incredible X-Men fan series called X-Men Children of the Atom. So I'm about to add Evan into the live now and have a chat with Evan. So yeah, let's add Evan in, and here we go. Hey,
Hey,
Evan.
yes.
How's it
Sorry
going?
for the hiccups. Learning
No,
all
you're all
sorts of
good.
things tonight. How are you?
Yeah, really good. How's it going?
It's going well. A little bit late here, but other than that, how about yourself?
Well, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I just want to say
Awesome.
thank you so much for joining my show today, Evan. It's such a pleasure having you on the show today. Uh,
Thank you so much for having me. I mean,
oh man, you're very
honestly,
welcome. You're
I'm
very
so
welcome.
thrilled.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, first up, do you want to give like a bit of backstory about yourself first up?
Sure. So I was born in a hospital. No, it's like, all right. Well, so the Cliff Notes version is like, how much time who am I? That's always like the tricky question to answer, right? Like, but the Cliff Notes, I guess, would be I'm an actor. I've been an actor for pretty much my entire life, stage and screen, and then I'm geeky as hell. So I'm a geeky actor. That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, we'll dive right into the questions now, Evan. So you're creating this incredible like campaign,
Thank you.
X-Men Children of the Atom.
Yeah.
What's it like creating this
Oh
campaign?
dear God. Uh, so it's almost like, for me at least, having a child, I would almost say, because it is the benefits and seeing each little thing like come to fruition and like is just so amazing. It gives me such a sense of joy and wonder watching it all come together. But at the same time, it is so much work. I mean, the thing that nobody tells anyone, the little secret is that it's not like you wake up one day with like an idea of, hey, I want to do this production or whatever, and then you do it. There's so much involved in just every single step of the way. And because it's my first production, so much learning every step of the way too. So much trial and error. But I love it. I mean, at heart, a creative person. I'm a creator. So just, yeah.
Well, what are you trying to like get out of like what are you trying to get out of these X-Men like fan series? Like, what do you want out of it?
Sure. Well, so for me, that's really like a twofold question. So the first and more obvious thing is, I'm a diehard X-Men fan. I came in like I imagine many people did through the 90s cartoon show, which just to me, that is my X-Men. And then I migrated from that over to the comics. It was that magical 90s time. Chris Claremont, Jim Lee, Generation X had just launched. Like, it was such a perfect time to get into the X-Men. But then, I continued to read back issues that I had missed, all of the classic Claremont stuff and forward. And I've always just really wanted a live action take on the X-Men that was more similar to the comics, I guess. Like, the movies are all amazing, but I wanted to try to bring back, some of the individual costumes and kind of that special flair meets drama that, both that 90s show and the comics do so well. Like, was always what I wanted to see on screen. And then I heard that it will probably be a while before we see them in the MCU. And so I'm like, all right, this is my chance, right? So that just to be able to share my vision of that world. And then of course, you know, secondly is just it would be such a huge showcase for my talents as well to show other productions and stuff. But you know, that's more of the business aspect of stuff.
So
I gotta be honest, right? So it's both things.
yeah. So also very next question for you, Evan.
Sure.
So what kind of characters are you like hoping to get into this like X-Men fan series?
So well, first I should clarify that we're starting with a film. If the film does well, which, you know, crossing fingers, I certainly hope that it does, I then plan on branching it out into a series. If that happens, literally, sky's the limit. Like, I love all the individual characters. That world is just so, has so much potential to play with that, yeah. I'm sorry. Did you want like specific names or just all of them? Well, so you know, I already some ideas that I have for a season, and like I'm already thinking like 5 seasons if I'm so lucky. But you know, and again, this goes like back into stuff that we didn't necessarily ever get in the films. Is like, who is Cyclops' father? Cyclops meeting his brother, right? Like that's a perfect episode right there that I would love to be able to tell. I have already an amazing friend and ally in this, signed up for the role of Wolverine, and those who know kind of the classic, more classic stories of Wolverine knows that there's special thing that happens every year on his birthday, and so I'd love to be able to delve into that. There's just again, like literally so much.
So on to our very next question. So how long have you been like a Marvel fan for? Like what got you into watching Marvel?
I'm sorry, how long have I been a Marvel fan, and what was the second question?
And how like what got you into Marvel?
Well, again, the X-Men was my gateway drug. I found them at a time in my life when, as I'm sure similar to other X-Men fans, it was very rocky for me, and I wasn't sure who I was, and I was having trouble finding my place in the world. And at that time, the X-Men, more than any other comic out there, really spoke to me. And so I discovered slowly, gradually over time, the rest of kind of the Marvel Universe by way of the X-Men.
So on to our next question. So what would be your like favorite X-Men movie or Marvel movie that you've watched?
Okay, well I'll answer both. So my favorite X-Men movie, that's tough. I mean, they all have such great elements. But either X2, which just the first time seeing the Project X campus, and again Ian McKellen as Magneto, and Sir Patrick Stewart as Xavier. I mean, you know, that was my fan cast even before there were movies. And likewise, Days of Future Past, seeing the newer cast and the older cast in the same thing was amazing. And their favorite Marvel movie, you know, probably Iron Man 1.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So on to the next question. So like, if you could like pitch this X-Men like film that you're creating to anyone that wants to campaign to your campaign, like what's your pitch to get people into it?
Sure. Well, I would say that first off, if you're a fan of the X-Men, and you want to see a more comic accurate live action take on that property, it is my endeavor to, that's what I'm trying to bring to screen. And um, I would say that hopefully I can go ahead and share kind of basically like the back jacket premise, if you want, of the film. Um, so it's set after kind of a disaster that doesn't go into too much details, but basically, surprise, surprise, mutants are blamed, and the X-Men are blamed in particular. And again, for people who know classic X-Men, 90s X-Men, Senator Kelly, who uses it to kind of further his career. And it's literally like, again, my own version of kind of that first season of the X-Men show, while still, being my own thing, which is kind of a three-pronged thing with the X-Men, Magneto and his Brotherhood, and then the Senator, and like just all-out chaos and people trying to find their way and their place in life and all of that. So
On to the very next question.
Sure.
So who would be your all-time favorite Marvel character and why?
All right. Well, certainly a mutant. No surprise there. But then which mutant? That's... I'm just going to go with the first one that came to my mind. But ask me again tomorrow and it'll be a different answer. Literally changes from day to day. But Magic. I've always such an amazing character. By the way, did you see that trailer for the Midnight Suns video game?
Yes.
When I saw her in that, I just finally, mutants are coming back to Marvel. I love it. About time.
Yes. Awesome. So on to our very next question. So who would be your all-time favorite Marvel villain and why?
People expect me to say Magneto, but I won't, for one very clear reason. To me, and you're smiling, so I bet you already know what I'm going to say.
Possibly.
To me, Magneto has never been a villain. So that takes him off the table for that question. Marvel villain. Can I give top 5?
You can.
Top 5. So Apocalypse, Sinister, OG Green Goblin. Well, that's 4. I'm going to give you 4.
Well, that is all good. So on to the very next question. So how did you get into directing in the first place? What made you decide to be a director and actor? And what made you just decide to do it?
To be completely honest, stupidity my part. No, I'm kidding. Again, I was lucky enough to be a background and a day character in an upcoming another very exciting live action fan series that was shot around here in Boston. And it was my first time really realizing that this was something that you could do theoretically, hopefully. And so at the same time, I was trying to, growing up, I've been more of a stage actor. I've only recently tried to break into screen acting within the past 3 or so years. And a way to do that again, not a lot of people talk about, but they should, is that oftentimes people will create their own vehicles or projects just to show others that, see, I can't do this. I can't act. If the projects aren't coming otherwise. So, I had the idea of, well, why don't I create I know I can act. I've acted in a bunch of stuff. I've acted on stage like since I was 10. Why don't I create a project that would like spotlight my talents and the fact that I could do this? But what's my story? And then again, I realized, well, if it can be a fan vehicle, really, that's no longer a question, right? Well, what else can my story be? It has to be X-Men. But writing and directing and been doing a little bit of casting and just again, like I would love to if people are interested, I would love to literally start doing like a semi-weekly video series just on all the behind-the-scenes stuff that it takes in order to launch a fan campaign, because I'm telling you, it's so much more than one would probably normally think.
So on to the very next question. So what have you learned about yourself as a person, and especially as like a director during COVID?
No, that's a good question. Probably, well, two things. So I've always been, sorry, excuse me, had a snack before this. Please forgive me. So I've always been a visual thinker. So the way my mind always works is it shows me movies as opposed to like text or still photos or whatever. So, really to go with that and to trust that. Like I was telling friends during the writing process, and the same thing is true with producing and directing and everything else, that if I sit down with my iPad or with a pad of paper or whatever, and like, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to force myself to write what this character says. I'm frozen. I can't do it, no matter how long I sit there. But if I just sit down with like a piece of paper and just kind of let myself kind of just, you know, think about whatever, think about the day, think about the sky, whatever, I can then like, there's a part in my script where Senator Kelly's giving this really long speech, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to write it. And it was immensely frustrating to me. And I spent 3 days trying to come up with how to write it. And then one night, I'm getting ready for bed, and I just see it in my head. Like, he's there. He's at the podium. He's talking. All I need to do is listen and copy down what he says. And, yeah, so that.
So on to our next question. So, like, if you could direct or be in any, like, TV or movie franchise, what would it be and why?
Well, my dream would be to actually have Marvel or Disney see this and be like, ooh, we need to bring him on for when we bring the X-Men into the MCU. Short of that, probably currently right now on air, I'd love to be attached to a TV show called Legacies. Yes. And for those that don't know, I talk about this like routinely with a friend of mine through text. Summed up in a nutshell, the best way I can describe Legacies is it pretty much is the X-Men, or New Mutants if you want. But instead of advanced humans, it's more like different mythological creatures. But they're all at a school, they're trying to like, it's literally, I mean, of course, more than that is in, you know, it's its own, but like that was certainly my entryway drug into that show. So.
Well, I have to say, by the way, my actually good mate who I've done a couple of interviews with, Charles Terrier, his name is, he's actually in the Legacies as the role of Chad. So,
I'm sorry, what role?
As the role of Chad.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, we'll have to introduce us someday.
He's such an incredible actor, and shout out to Charles because, yeah, he's really, really incredible. So shout out.
Yeah, I really think it's one of those, you know, truly underappreciated kind of secret TV shows that not nearly enough people are watching, really.
I totally agree. Yep. So on to our very next question. So what are like the positive and negatives into like being a director, and how do you get through like negative moments as a director?
So the negatives is that, so I haven't actually started directing it, because directing would be once we start shooting. But in terms of creating it, which I believe is what you mean, writing it, producing it, casting it, all of that stuff, is that no matter how much support you have, at the end of the day, it's kind of all on you, which can be both a blessing and a curse. And like, I am very lucky in that I have managed to, I don't even know how I accomplished this, but I managed to like form a very, very supportive group to just help me through all of this, of actors and comic cosplay lovers, been reaching out to potential, but like at the end of the day, it's still, you know, I have to contact. And so again, it's beautiful when it works out, but it's really infuriating and frustrating when it doesn't. And just the logistics of, well, how do you do that? You know, at the end of the day, I have to figure out. But honestly, the way to get through it is, which is part of the reason why at the very beginning I decided to go with X-Men, is just to be passionate about it. Just keep your eyes on the end goal. And if I'm telling you, if it's not a project that you're just 110% passionate about creating, it's going to fall apart.
So it's a very last question. So like next for you, like for the rest of this year that you have planned, like goal-wise?
Sure. Again, X-Men wise, can announce tonight here for the first time that the campaign is live, and so I will be posting the link to that after. But again, it's on Indiegogo. It's X-Men: Children of the Atom. Please check it out. So just hopefully, again, fingers crossed, it's a success, and I will just be continuing to work on that. And also, at the same time, you know, just continuing to further my own career as an actor, get in more productions, be in front of more cameras, maybe find an agent. Oh, you know.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Evan.
Thank you.
So much appreciate you coming onto my show today. It's been such a pleasure. Do you have like any last final thoughts for anyone that's been watching today?
Just please go and support if this sounds interesting to you, which I certainly hope it does. And yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hi, my name is Evan Feldman, and today I would like to introduce you to my campaign for a live-action X-Men fan film. It is set during a very turbulent time for mutants, as a senator makes a play for the White House built on a campaign of anti-mutant hysteria. Therefore, it is up to the X-Men to come together and not only thwart the senator's plans, but also save the humans from other mutants that view themselves to be their rightful rulers. This film is very heavily inspired by both the 90s comic books, the Fox Kids TV show, and especially the amazing and phenomenal God Loves, Man Kills graphic novel. I have managed to assemble an amazing, talented crew who have worked in both the film industry as well as fan films in the past to try and bring this project to you in a way never before seen in live action. This means that we want to include the colorful costumes, the dramatic and impactful storytelling, and the beautiful sets that one expects when one reads an X-Men comic book. It has been my lifelong dream to bring our vision of Marvel's Merry Mutants to the screen in a meaningful and impactful manner. So please, if this sounds like something that you'd be interested, donate. Any amount helps. If you don't have a lot, we don't need a lot. If you have no money and can't donate, share it. Share it on all of your socials. Share it with your friends and family. Get the word out there. We are a passionate and dedicated crew who want to bring Marvel's true vision of their Merry Mutants to you.